Yes, I know that the agenda does not look like it's very long this week, but hey, can you use your line, please? First thing I want to talk is with this weather that we're having, there is no snow days for robotics. So your team instead of school and your school is closed, you do not get an extra day to build your robot. A few years ago, the last year before, when we had like a week and a half off of school, I think FRC gave us some extra hours of unbag time or something. But if school closed, it still counts as a day for us. So just make that room with that. Okay. All right, we're going straight to the robot test. I know we say this every single week, but if your robot is not moving by now, please unmute your line and test. Any questions about seeing your robot moving, just the default code, or wiring your main component? Please let us know about those things. Like you should be looking at, you should have had default code on your robot. You should be moving for programming or other functions you are adding on your robot. So if you guys are putting out a container or whatever you're doing, you're working on programming that. If you are having just questions about that, you can go ahead and unmute your line and ask away. Okay, if you have any questions throughout the call, just go ahead and unmute your line and speak up. We'll be able to answer any questions that you guys have. It's coming up here pretty soon. We're going to talk about stock build day or bag day. Instead of you talk to, they call it different things. Way in the day, we used to have to shift, so you might even talk to some people that call it shift day. So basically, what stock build bag shift day is daytime where you have to stop working on your robot. And your FRC day should have received 9 clear bags. It's damn thick. It's bigger than a 55-gallon trash bag. You have bunch of these cereal zip ties. So on February 17th, the Tuesday, by 11:59 p.m., you can have your robot in this bag with one of the serialized zip ties on it. That is stock build day. Whatever you have done to that point, you put it in the bag. If you are not done at that point, you still put it in the bag. The exceptions to this is that you have a withholding allowance, and there are a couple things that you don't have to put in the bag. Would you like to a bit about the withholding allowance?
Sure. The withholding allowance, things that you do not have to put in the bag are your operator interface, is what we call it. It's basically your laptop, your joysticks, your controls, thing to bring to the field to put behind the driver's thing, behind the glass to drive the robot. So you do not have to bag those. You don't have to bag any of your batteries. So already got at least 2 batteries in their kit apart. Buy any additional batteries. All those batteries can stay outside of a bag. You do not need a bag. Anything else? I think real quick, I forget what the weight, it changes every year. I think this year it's a 30-pound withholding allowance, which says if you have an arm that's with the container, and that weighs 20 pounds, usually keep that off of your robot and not bag it and continue to work on it up until your person and so 20 pounds worth of arm. What that means is if you bag, you're not allowed to take that 20-pound arm, attach it to your robot, and make another 20 pounds off of your robot and say, I'm actually going to take that out of the bag. So that 30 pounds is supposed to be the same 30 pounds over the entire bag between competition. So what they do is like unbag it for 2 hours, just take the section off your robot, work on that, for 5 days, put it back in, switch it on, go back for. You need to ensure that you have everything inside of the bag. You can have two bags this year, so say the upper structure and the chassis, and you want to bag them in two separate bags. You are allowed to do that. You just have to make sure you indicate that on your form that you fill out, saying, the two bags, you have two serial numbers.
Let's do the robot lockup form. Basically, what the robot lockup form is, we've stuck a link to it in the notes for you guys. It's a form that first is created for you to, when you close it and when you open your robot. So, typically an honor system. So, just remember that your professionalism in this, and there for everyone. Every team has to follow these rules. Every team has to bag their robot. So be honest with it, and note that you have to be very accurate with your time records, because if you're not, you penalize that competition. So if they see that you're allowed 6 hours of unbag time and you use 8, they'll penalize you 2 hours at the competition. Where when you get there, you'll have to sit for 2 hours and not work on your robot to make up the time that you took. So when you guys are opening and closing your robot, that you do the math correctly. This happened by accident one year for us. I was printing the robot lockup form, and I happened to have cardstock in our printer, and I printed our robot lockup form on cardstock. It was the best mistake ever. So we suggest this to all teams now. It makes it a lot more durable, because you're going to be using the same form all the way through your competition season, all the way from your first district to the first championship. So you can put it in a sheet protector or on a clipboard or on in a Ziploc bag, whatever you want to do. And you want to zip tie this to your robot bag. This is so you don't lose it. Very, very easy to replace this piece of paper, and it's a very, very, very important piece of paper. So when you find a place for it that is easy, we like to use the sheet protector for 3-ring binders, and then slip a zip tie through one of the holes of the 3-hole punch and zip tie it right to the robot bag. That way we never lose it, and it goes wherever our robot goes. What else is when you put your robot into your bag, you will no longer roll. So you have to have a way to transport your robot while in the bag. Our suggestion to you guys is to find some kind of furniture dolly and create a piece of wood, some kind of platform that your robot will sit on and secure to, that you can carry and fit on a set of furniture dolly or wheels or carts of some sort.
And make sure that this year, because of the height, in other years, the height restriction for robots has been 15 inches. This is 78 inches. Might order the closest door to you right now, and you'll probably see that it's somewhere 79 to 80 inch doors. So that your robot and your bag robot is going to be, and it's the full height, is going to be very tall. And you may have to make sure you have something very low profile, or a bag in the middle, or something like that, to keep the robot as low as possible, prevent you from in the door frame when you go through, and so you can actually bring your robot into the event. Please take that into consideration when that robot and try to make it transportable.
So, guys, when you go through, we're including all of the links to all of the information for bagging, unbagging, and withholding allowance for you in the notes. Please make sure that you guys go through and read these very carefully. It's only like 5 sentences total. Make sure that you guys are very familiar with it. We've actually indicated the rule numbers and everything right in the notes for you. Please make sure that you familiarize yourself with all of these procedures. In the robot section, the bill of materials. Before we move on to the bill of materials, does anyone have any questions about bagging or unbagging your robot, either on February 17th or donate to competitions to get that. So we're going to go ahead and move on to all this area. If any of you guys come up with any questions about anything, go ahead and make your line and ask. So the bill of materials. The materials is another spreadsheet that FRC has made. You can use their form or you can make your own form. And basically it's a list of all of the items on the robot money. If something's donated to you, you still have to consider the cost of that. So say, for example, you sponsor that is a sensor company. They donate you $250 sensor. The cost. Consider that into your cost of building your robot, but even though you didn't pay for it. So is raw material. It's, say you take a 10-foot length of something that costs $10 and you feed it, you'll have to use $2 of that. So you're going to prorate anything that you use for trade cost. This is basically so that for how much it costs you to build a robot. Is it still $3,500 a month? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's still the same. You that amount of money in building your robot, that's just don't engineer something that's completely amazing for the other team and basically and anything the kit of parts does not count against your bill of materials. Again, make sure you read what we're going to be sending to everyone, but it doesn't count against your cost. So the Robo Rio doesn't need to go on that list. It won't necessarily need to mark it at 0 because it didn't cost you anything and everyone has that. Right.
Does anyone have questions on the bill of materials? Really suggest that you guys keep this as a running list instead of the last day being like, oh man, we got to put together this list. Did we put on the robot again? So or a working list of all of the things you need for a robot, or you can start making that list now. I would highly suggest that you guys do.
And it helps to be like raw material. You don't have to describe how it's machined. So let's say you use a 1x2 tubing, aluminum tubing 1x2 1/8 inch tall, and used say 120 inches of it. You can put that on there, and you don't have to explain. Well, we need this size hole, and we cut it at this point, and all this other stuff to it. It just needs to be that raw material. Also, you can have a paper copy or electronic. Put it on a thumb drive so you have an electronic version, but it never hurts to print up a paper version and actually put in the same sheet protector bag and tag. So when you get your robot out of the bag, you actually have your bill of materials in that sheet protector, so it's with your robot. Because what's always going to happen is someone's going to forget to bring the bill of materials, but your bag and tag, because that's the only way to get your bag. You run out of the bag, and then we have to suggest this tying that to the bag. Your bill of materials, your bag and tag form, and your what are all this tied together, and you always have it with you at any given time.
The budget amount is $4,000 this year. 500.
Yeah, actually, that makes more sense. Yeah, sorry.
No problem.
Hello. All right, one more reminder, each week there are new updates to the rules. I'll check in a link in the rules or in the notes this week to make sure that you guys are checking the rules every single week. Just as we discussed at the beginning of the call, one of the questions we actually discussed last week was the rule updates this week. So they're doing an awesome job at coming up with great questions and personally, so do you have any questions on the robot before we start to move on to the team management tab?
Yes, Rodney?
We got one here, Brandy, 1 second. Go ahead.
Where can I find some help on the Robo Rio? It says that I can attach webcams, and but I can't find any information on how to actually how to do that. I imagine it would be UDP, a stream broadcast. I don't know.
Yes, can you find information on connecting webcams to the Robo-Rio? I guess I start looking at like the Chief Delphi forum there and see if other teams have already done that. I believe you can either plug it in through the USB or Ethernet through the WAS router. You can pull your board, your dashboard project in LabVIEW, but I'm not exactly sure what the protocol is. Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah,
We included a link to it in the week 3 notes, so I'll have to stick that back in there. I think, yeah. Great.
To answer the question, there's 2 types of cameras that you can have on your robot. You can have an IP camera, or you can have a USB camera. USB camera plugs directly into the Robo-Rio. The issues that you might have is on the Robo-Rio. I think right now the HD3000, which is made by Microsoft, which can be found on Amazon. Andy Mark has some on his website, but he's coming out of stock. I still think you can find it through Amazon. Those HD from Microsoft are supposed to work directly with the Robo-Rio with nothing fancy. You just plug it in and it works. Cameras can with any browser. You open up Chrome or Internet Explorer, go to that IP, and you can actually see the footage from that. So two options. Adding additional USBs more than one might require quite a bit of programming to make that happen. IP cameras, you could have 1, 2, and once again, you just set the IP addresses for each one and open on the robot, not the dashboard on the laptop, and multiple tabs open with the different that you're trying to use. So.
Ronnie?
Yes. One other question: is there a limit in terms of number of compressors we can have on there?
Is it in terms of the compressors?
You can only have one.
Okay.
You can't have one in your pit and one on your robot. You have to use whatever one compressor you have in the competition. So teams in the past have gotten, let's say, in trouble for trying to have a compressor in pits and also have a compressor on the robot so they can go faster. You can only use one compressor, and that compressor does have to be controlled via Robo-Rio. It cannot be controlled off-board, and they'll actually, during inspection, if you have a off-board compressor, it's okay. They'll check to make sure you have all the proper fittings and connections and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
All right. And I received an email question also. So the question that was emailed says, PlayStation looks like we're on a 5-foot by 14-inch space for laptops and remote control. We can mount on a board with Velcro on the bottom and bring it to the tournament. Can we use a larger LCD monitor in addition to the monitor on the laptop?
Yeah, so you're not gonna have power out there, are you?
You can have power. It's a 20 amp or 30 amp power at the field that you can plug your laptop or other devices in. But you only have one plug, so you're going to have a surge protector or something that you plug in one cord to charge your laptop and additional monitors. If you're using monitors, the concern is just the number of the team that drive to transport that control system to and from the field. I think if you have it set up in a way where you're not going to have a lot of time to set a monitor up on a stand and plug that in and connect the monitor. It needs to be all on one board that you literally step up, set it down, plug in power, plug in Ethernet, and you're done. So the concern about having larger monitors is it might make your driver controls bulkier and harder to manage. Looking at using USB monitors to get additional viewing. That way they're still a little small, you have maybe that USB monitor to your TV or something of the sort.
Any other robot? Oh, we need to.
I got just, I need 556.
Got other ones.
In our first conference call, I can't recall who said it, but someone mentioned something about a game strategy where the noodles that they made an alliance, that they went to the other alliance and said, you know, one of you would throw noodles in.
Yep.
We kind of use that as the reason of not now worrying about clearing our field. But this is just an idea, and I need some input. But what if you go to the other alliance and say, hey, we're gonna throw noodles on, because those points go to the other alliance, right? So we're not gonna throw noodles on your side, but we're gonna put noodles on our side, and you put 10 noodles on your side to give us 40 points.
Right. The no collusion. What did they end up saying on that point?
So let's talk about previously the pool of six, noodle and whatever. There was talk about being able to do that earlier in the season. There was an update. I forget what day it was.
It was like 2, I think.
But yeah, actually, I'll keep going. So the pool noodles actually have colors on them. So they have either blue or red tape. So in the blue lines, then you throw the noodle over and it lands on the blue side. The value is 0. No one gets any points. However, blue ends up going all the way across the field to the red side. Blue gets 4 points for each one of those noodles. Same thing that if red was to make it all the way to the blue side, they would get 4 points each one of the red noodles in the blue zone.
Effectively, by doing that, they eliminated the noodle collusion.
Yes and no.
Okay.
My opinion is you still could have noodle collusion. I mean, listen, you throw right when I'll put to the right side of the field, and you'll run to the right side of your field, and because you're opposite end anyway. And what we'll do is we'll agree not to clean up. So whatever you make to your side is yours. Whatever I make to my side is mine. We have agreement not to do any cleanup. So you have noodle collusion. It just might not be the same as before, where you throw 10 noodles over the wall and everyone gets 1 point.
It's not as easy. Your human players actually have to have some skill.
Oh. All right.
And also, please, you know, you tape on the noodles and you test throwing the noodles with them because apply differently with the tape. I think it's in the game or part of the manual. It has a description of where the tape is supposed to be placed, what size.
Okay. All right.
No problem.
All right, let's move on to some of the team management results. What we want to cover is there was an update released recently from the Michigan Department of Education. If you are a teacher on your team, they're offering state continuing education clock hours, or the SCEA. We are going to be including a link in there for you guys. So if you're a teacher that needs to log the hours, so this has become one of the approved after-school activities for you to get these hours. So there's a link to a web page that will show you exactly what you have to do in order to earn these. So that's it for you. Thing is competition and volunteer requirements. So each team is required to provide 2 volunteers at each event that they attend. So our team, for example, is going to Kettering and to Troy. We have to send 2 volunteers. Usually you try to get people that are not on your team, so not students, not mentors, have it be a parent or a friend of the family to do a job there. Basically allows first to run the event. So if there are 4 teams there, they each send 2 volunteers. You've got 80 people to help run the event. some of the jobs that you might be able to do are like field resets, and between that, just resetting toes, spaces, so like FRC classes, practice field attendance, those kind of jobs. What you're going to have to do is I would put out an AP now so that people can try to take a day off work because the events are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You will need to provide a volunteer that's available at one of those days. So if you are Sims, and I have the link for it in the notes for you, there's a description page there, so you can send an email to your team saying we're looking for someone to help us with this.
Hey,
If you have
do you have to do your events that you're participating, or can you do any First in Michigan events?
you will have to contact your event volunteer coordinator and see.
Okay.
Because some events, so like Escanaba, obviously if you guys are going to Escanaba, there's not going to be a lot of people up there that are going to pull from other events. So for example, Kettering and Troy, but you want to send volunteers to different events, say Bedford, instead because you live right around the corner from Bedford. Some of your coordinators will let you do that. So what your coordinator is, and each event is assigned two main roles, an event coordinator and a volunteer coordinator. The event coordinator is in charge of the facilities, and the volunteer coordinator is in charge of the people volunteering at that event. And it has its own volunteer coordinator who's in charge of all of the people. He has his own specific needs and his own specific rules. The volunteer coordinator, if you contact them directly, will be able to answer your specific questions. Unfortunately, because I don't know all of the volunteer coordinators, I'm not familiar with all of the events, I can't answer all of the questions, and probably Gail Efford at First in Michigan probably won't be able to either. So you ask the volunteer coordinator directly first to make sure you guys can get all of your questions answered. Volunteer resources page, so if you have questions about what your roles will be as an application, you had it and read that. Does anyone have any questions about volunteering? Nope. And the next thing that you guys want to make sure that you have completed is the First in Michigan consent and release form. There is a document that first requires all students and mentors on your team to fill. It's right for guests or non-mentor parents. It's basically the contract that says if the building falls in on you as a participant of this program, you won't do if they take a picture, they have the right to put in their videos. Those kind of statements. It's just a legal release of liability form. The team management mentor on our team, I'm going to give you guys a piece of advice. Require your team members to fill out the online version because there's a paper version and an online version. If they fill out the paper version, it's a nightmare for you to maintain your roster. If it's the online version, every event that you go to, you have to roster of the people that are there with you. If it's the online version, your team information management system will roster for you. If it's the paper version, they have to complete one for every single event, and you have to handwrite your roster. It's a pain. So please, I implore you to require your team members to fill out the online version. It will make your job so much easier. Include a link in the system. Make sure that you guys have everyone fill it out. We have a rule on our team that if you don't fill out the form, you don't get to go to competition. So the way that if something were to happen and this roster is not filled out or filled out, you could end up with some legal ramifications against you. Protect yourself as a mentor and make sure that everyone fills this out. If there are any questions on the Michigan consent release form? If you log into if you have the primary or secondary contact, you can log on to TIMS, which is the member information management system, and who has and has not filled this out. You can click on like team roster and it will show you who has completed it and who has not. So very easy way for you to keep tabs on who has done it and who's not. the consent and release form, was probably not referred to the CNR. Flowing through things today, but we got a lot to cover, so if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt. All right, we had a lot of questions about where do you go to find information about competition. First in the website, which is firstinmichigan.org. I also believe firstmichigan.com works. Use one of the links at the top is 2015 season, and if you click it, it will bring up a page that has all of the events listed on one page. And all you got to do is click on the event that you are looking for. The last person that just joined on the line, could you hit the line, please? There's a lot of background noise. Please. All right, so you're going to click on the event that you will be attending, and you'll agenda is there in the event information. The event information link has a lot of the information that you guys will be looking for. It has directions. It has parking directions, because some schools that you'll be visiting will have school at the time of the competition, so you may park in an alternate lot than you think you may. Load in and load out directions for you, which door you're supposed to go to, which driveways you can drive on, where you can park trailer, those things. If they have your pre-order lunch menu up there, pre-order are a great option for teens, especially if you're traveling from out of town. It's a pretty affordable way for you to order food for your team. So a lot of times they have like box sandwiches, where you get like a sandwich and chips, a pasta, and a cookie, for however many dollars that the chooses to sell for. So options for you guys, if you're having trouble coordinating food, this may be a super great option for you. Our team used these for the first 2 years that we were here, because it just made life easier for us, and sometimes, especially your rookie year, you should do. So you can find for them, if you haven't already, and order whatever you would like to order off of the pre-order menu. Just check with each event, because each event will have a different menu, different pricing, and different procedures. So the different that you're going to, make sure that you go on and check out both of the other agendas and the event information pages for events. This is under the event information page. You're going to find hotel suggestions. So if there's a hotel that is particularly near the school, or what may be giving discounts, you're going to want it. There also may be a warning on there. There was one hotel that the event was like, don't stay at this hotel. So you guys want to look into that if you're coming in from out of time to stay overnight. To stay overnight, I guess there's been a lot of questions being asked to Gail Alfred about the first booking company. So if you do not have to book through First Booking, Booking is an organization that is like a travel company that reserves hotel rooms at some district events in the state for the World Championship. So Michigan, you can just call and book them up. So if you tell them that you're with a First Robotics team, or if you have a certain number of rooms for your team, then they give you an additional discount. But you do go through First Booking. As of now, the only way that you have to go through First Booking is the First Championship in St. Louis. And I highly suggest that you use First Booking. We've had some teams that we are friends with who have booked outside of the booking company for the First Championship, and magically a week beforehand, all of the room reservations were lost. So you actually guarantee you, if your reservation is canceled, that they will find something for you. It's kind of like putting insurance on your travel. So I think you guys use that. Then, where to find information on the competitions or booking hotels. All right. So we're going to discuss as far as team management goes is your online awards and essay submission deadline. All of these are coming up pretty quickly here. The Woody Powers Award and the Entrepreneurship Award must be submitted by a student. students to be able to study these, and they widen primary or secondary contact. You can log it up for the team, go in and designate which can be award submitters. So when you're going to your team roster, and there'll be a column on the far right-hand side that says award submitter. And they select up to 3 students to submit these awards. So the Flowers Award and the Entrepreneurship Award cannot be submitted by a mentor. It has to be done by a student, and you have to choose who can do it. They're not available to all students on your team. You need to pick who and kind of submit the award. So, anyone any questions on the Woody Flowers Award or the Entrepreneurship Award? They're on in the awards section of the manual, so if you guys want to look into what those 2 awards are, all of the information and the rubric for it and the awards description are all in the awards manual, which is section 6 of the administration manual. It's the Dean's List Award. Each nominate up to 2 individuals. This year it can be a senior, junior, or sophomore. Next year it will only be open to sophomores and juniors. And the idea behind this is you are supposed to choose a student with high academic achievement at school and then leadership on your team. The Team Rush actually had one of the nation's top 10 finalists. Didn't you last year, Jason? Like
Yep.
Cameron?
Yep, Cameron won last year. Another thing that we found too with the D list is they're well-rounded students. So if your student does just first, I don't know if they're looked on as highly as somebody that does other things within the community. So we find kind of helpful that Cameron did an Optimist Club and a bunch of other clubs in the school involvement in first, plus his academics, what sealed the deal for him.
I got a question. When I go in there, I am not allowed to pick my seniors. And it was for this year that we still could select seniors.
So I think there was last year.
No, Frank just there was an update about it this year. So to refresh it, when did you go in to check? Because I think he just sent out the update.
I went in it just now because I was in it earlier, as weeks ago when I was just working around, and I'm in it right now on my other screen. All of my seniors say grade must be 10 or 11.
So maybe that's going to change. If Frank just sent that out today, maybe I would check back later this week.
Oh, great. Thank you.
When did
I'll do that.
I did that, Brandy.
I'm looking it up right now. Okay.
Sometimes update everything.
I have a batch update. That's fine.
Yeah, last year that they took out.
Okay.
So this year it's only 10th and 11th graders.
So only 10th and 11th this year. Sorry about that.
So this, and having that is they want people to be able to put their students saying that get the dean's list. So why for colleges they have that on their application. So why they push and transition to have be a sophomore or junior. So that's the reason that
Yeah, they're assuming that.
We actually have
I was saying they're assuming that the seniors have already applied for school by then and have made their selection of what university they're going to. So this award doesn't really hold as much clout, but on a junior or a sophomore level application.
a student who is a senior this year who was nominated last year for the Dean Award, and one of the scholarships that he's applying for has asked us to submit his Dean's List nomination letter as a scholarship. So whatever you are writing is something that you could send to a university.
And I can give you a little bit of insight. The Dean's List is, like, kind of a big deal for the student. I know so the perks, or I guess the award was that Cameron got to go out to and go to Dean's house, and got to go on a private tour of MIT with just Dean's List students. Had a whole bunch of, you got like a Surface and an iPad and a whole bunch of cool gadgets and toys. So it's quite a, I don't want to say lucrative award, but there's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. If you have the time and if you have a deserving student on your team, be sure to get that application in, because it is a lot, not just to the student, for academics and for getting into schools, but there's a bit of other fun perks that go along with it.
So how the system works is you nominate them at the district level. At the competition, I think usually on that Friday or Saturday morning during opening ceremony. Our opening ceremony is the Dean's List nomination. So what the teams that is the event will say, so from 2337, John Smith and Sally Smith, these families kids get to stay off in the crowd and everybody claps for them. So at this level, it is just a nomination, and this only happens if you submit a nomination online by the date, which is the February. State level at Michigan State Championship, all of the students who nominated at the district level have to compete against each other, and representatives from the state of Michigan are chosen, and then they get to move on to compete at the first championship in St. Louis. So there's a tier approach to it. So if you don't win a Michigan State Championship, you don't get to go on to compete at the World Championship or the first championship in St. Louis. And then that there's like 25 or so of them chosen at the World Championship, and they receive different levels of recognition on the submission that you are giving. So submission is going to be one of the main determining factors of whether or not your student wins. There are judges that walk around in the pits and talk about or talk to your students and other students about it. So the Dean's List is it should also be someone that your students on your team will agree that did it. So the criteria is nominated by mentors and by the other students on the team. So it comes around and says, tell me about your Dean's List nominees. Whether it be the person who was nominated or not, they want to say, you know, we selected Johnny on our team because of these reasons. We really do think that Johnny does represent our team and first in a way that is honorable and should be recognized. So it's a whole team together and presenting these two students as a package. On the Dean's List. Now, so we got about 10 minutes left on the call. Are there any other questions about anything that anyone has that you would like to answer?
Rodney, 5664.
Yeah, Rodney.
Go ahead, Rodney.
The laptop that came with our kit, it has it says that something about the software not being licensed, and it eventually lost its boot image, and I'm wondering, how do I get that back?
So you're still probably using the classmate that came with it. They used to give a USB drive with the boot image included in your kit of parts.
Didn't work. No.
We experienced the same thing.
You can just activate it. Like you can activate and register for the classmate. Even the no window, it's not like the legal copy is.
It's just registered.
Version that people have to register it.
So, but now it doesn't boot at all, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay. That's a question. Have to look into that.
I think we be able to use the USB, but if that doesn't work, maybe the USB just does not recognize that USB. Is the USB bad or something?
You can go into the you can manager and get it to use the USB, but it does not. It says something about the image is wrong. I just wonder if there's somewhere I can go download that.
That's what I'm looking for right now. So saying that the image is incorrect.
Right.
I'm look on FRC to see if I can find something.
Trying to modify to be able to use that USB is probably no longer good because it's formatted just to do a reboot or reinstallation of Windows. So that to be like, oh, we can have a USB to use for the team. It's probably not going to work anymore. So the only I can think right now, I'm driving, so I have no computer to look anything up like Jason has.
Yeah.
We might have to try to get you in touch with another work team who have a version unused USB to boot and reinstall Windows and start you back at the beginning. Because most veteran teams are not going to have access to that B key because we don't get the classmates every year, and there's no way for us to buy that classmate every year, or buy that portion. So we will have to, somehow get you in touch, unless Jason or someone is able to find a downloadable version. The downloadable version, I think, is going to be tough because they really have free installations of Windows.
Yeah, search. Rodney?
Sure.
So I can get back in touch. And there was someone else that said they had the same problem?
It's Phil with Team 5502.
Okay.
We gave up on the classmate and we're using a laptop, but it'd be nice to have it working.
Okay, you moved to that. Okay. If you can also send me an email, just so email addresses, and I'll look at.
Rodney? What's your email? Who's asking for my email address?
Marcasino. So my email address should be on the invite that got sent out.
Okay.
And what, Phil? Sorry?
502.
502. A bit of research into that, and hopefully get back to you later tonight.
We give up on it, just switch to a laptop, but it'd be nice to have it working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel.
Ours too is was on like update that to get it activated Microsoft, but the first time we did it, it didn't work. And then, we tried it again or something, and then it worked. But
Something.
Definitely be finished.
Give me a little bit, and we'll try to look that up.
We have about anything? I just got a couple more minutes. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to chime in. But a couple of things, just some items that you can at competition. So you guys have a couple of weeks. Item one is glasses. Safety glasses for every person on team 2337. We issue each student their own pair of safety glasses and label them with their name, and they are responsible for transporting the shoe and from the competition. Some teams have safety glasses and borrow a pair for the bin and the back. Because when they belong to the team, students have no respect for returning them. So we found that if they belong to them, much more success of having to keep giving out safety glasses. That could be impact resistant OSHA glasses. It's student mentors wear glasses, and as they are, they do not count as safety glasses. And it counts as safety glasses if they're rated for impact. A lot of people who work at plants and things already have glasses that are impact rated, have to have approved shields on them. This is something for you guys to look into. A lot of businesses have extra safety crews. If there's a local shop around, you might be able to get them donated to you. So that's an option that you guys might want to look into. The next tool, Jason, you want to talk about the tools that you guys might want to bring to competition?
Well, anything that you use to put together your robot. So if you're using, you know, Allen bolts, you know, you want Allen wrenches, and, you know, you're using lock nuts and you want the associated wrench to be able to tighten that stuff down. So anything that you would assemble or disassemble your robot, you'd probably want to take to competition.
We're working on your robot is to, you know, in your toolbox, grabbing tools from, maybe take a weekend and say, okay, if we use this tool on this robot this weekend, let's put on this table, if we use any of these tools. At the end of the meeting, what you can do is write down all those tools that ended up on that table and say, okay, those are the tools we use on our robot, just like Jason said, and those we need to make sure not only do we take them, but maybe we want a couple extra ones in case we have multiple people doing the same thing on the different sides of the robot. So what we do is say, like, okay, this is our quote-unquote emergency tool set. This is at minimum what we need to take to competition. Now, you grow, and as you expand and get, you know, maybe some partners or sponsors to maybe donate a tool chest for you to keep more than what you use on that robot. Just make sure you those minimum. The things that Jason said are perfect. Allen wrench set, wrenches, strippers, crimpers, you know, all those kinds of things. And use on your robot if you want to make sure they're with you. And if you get one tool, you know, that hammer or a C-clamp or something like that, because you didn't bring it to competition, there'll be teams at the event that will let you borrow their tools to use to do whatever you need to do. A drill motor with a set of, with a drill index is another great option, because you never know when you're going to drill a hole in something or add some feature at the competition. So make sure you bring a drill with a charger and a drill index.
All right, the next materials. I'm going to want to consider bringing some extra materials. So if, for example, you have a pickup device on your robot that is built out of PVC. PVC tends to break sometimes, so you might want to bring some extra PVC. You can also make replicas of some of the parts on your robot and bring those as well. Bring for raw material is never a bad thing. There are teams that do have materials for you to use, but you always rely on the help of everyone else. Make sure you take your destiny into your own hands and bring some materials that you guys might need. Some things that you guys are going to want to start considering bringing you. So, questions? We just about out of time for this week, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to chime in, or you can always send any of us an email. So every time we send out the meeting minutes and the meeting reminders, there's a email addresses on there. So you can always feel free to make send email with any questions.
Generic competition question. I don't really see it in the rules, but how many matches should we expect?
I think, what did we have, like about 12 matches last year?
Oh, thank you.
You will have 12 matches. You are guaranteed 12 matches at any district event. That's not including making it into the elimination. Or into the elimination, you have the possibility of having 7 or 8 matches in elimination. Finals, you're guaranteed 2. Semifinals, you're guaranteed 3. And finals, you could have anywhere 2 or 3 matches, depending on the outcome of the match.
Thank you.
Did you have a question? I see your hand up on the WebEx.
I have two questions. The first one was, we were looking in our rule books to see, do we have to use the classmate for the competition?
You do not have to use the classmate for the competition.
Good. The other question I had was, with regards to parts that you bring to put on your robot, one of my mentors had said we only have 30 pounds like of additional stuff. Is that entire season, or is that just per meet?
I guess clarify. I believe it's for the whole season, but I think it can be 30 pounds in between competitions. Is that correct?
Yeah. So from bag day to your first event, you can have 30 pounds of withholding. There'll be upgrades or additions and that kind of thing. We can change out that 30 pounds to be something different. So say the event, you hold back your container manipulator, and then your first event, your second event, you hold back your noodle grabber or whatever it may be. With spare parts, you can bring in additional spare parts as long as the fit, form, and function of that part is exactly the same. So you have to make sure it's not an upgrade or a modification. So let's say arms that, any third match it breaks. Using additional arms, as long as they're exactly the same as spare parts. I'll find the rules on that. It's really kind of what's considered a withholding allowance and what's considered spare parts.
I have a granular question on that. If you take something else off the robot, we're talking about credit, like weight credit, where if you put it on, so that's 12 pounds, then you can put something on never mind, I can't think of the way I'm talking about this.
Okay.
I think if it resets per meet, then there is no weight credit.
Yeah, go ahead, Clint. I think so.
So you have 120 pound robot. Say you have a robot that weighs 120 pounds and you have a 10-pound arm on that robot. And say you design a different arm that you want to use in a certain match that weighs another 10 pounds. You are now to take the 10 pounds off the robot and put the other arm on as to replace that 10 pounds. During inspection, if you plan to do the switching back and forth match to match, you would need to weigh all of those arms all at the same time on the robot. So you'd actually be at 130 pounds. If you wanted to have two separate arms, and say you weigh 110 pounds, one arm, you have that other 10-pound arm sitting off the side and only use the match. If you want to use that, swap it out, that would be perfectly legal. If you do something off and you're like, hey, I'm never going to put this on ever again, getting it because we're overweight, we're 150 pounds and we need to get rid of 30 pounds, this arm is gone. You don't have to worry about that anymore. The concern is they don't want people to have these modular systems where they have 5 different arms depending on the situation and depending on their match. Right? So that's the intention behind that. Only if you're at the event, let's say 115 pounds, and you're like, well, we still have 5 pounds to add stuff on, let's, put this whole thing on. You can do that at the event to get you finally up to the 120, but every time you add some of that, you're going to want to make sure you go through re-inspection, and you have an inspector sign off that they've re-inspected your robot for a large addition. If you're at home, you're probably okay. For a large addition, please have the inspectors re-inspect it.
And if when you go to the port, the reweigh, is that correct? That's still correct?
That's still correct. You will have to reweigh and make sure you have any large changes. Reweigh is the biggest thing that happens before the meeting.
You pretty much answered my question. I have one more example I want to say. Say you're at 115 pounds, 5-pound item that you want to add to the robot that takes it to 120 pounds.
Yep.
It takes 5 pounds of your 30 pounds, right? Take it off that for the second game and put it back on with 10 pounds because you've added it twice, or is it still just part of that 30 pounds you're using?
I'll say the 30 pounds is just what you can hold off out of your bag to do with your robot weight. Robot weight on wheel can be a maximum of 120 pounds without battery.
No matter how many times you're moving it on and off.
No, as long as it stays with under 120 pounds during competition. Like you might have to go back and reweigh. But if it's something that you're going to change out, and you know, when you inspect, you'll have to weigh it all together at 120. And if you pull it off for a match, you pull it off for a match. If you put it on, as long as it's the same as it was when you weighed, you'd be fine.
I think that's a question.
Yeah. So basically, on field, your robot can't weigh any more than 20 pounds without the battery.
Line who has not signed in yet.
I don't know if you have my team number on the sign-in. 57.
Yep, I think I got your.
Okay, this is 5745. 745. All right, thank you, Vicki. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Chris.
What is it?
Ours is 5562.
Question. On every meet, like a district meet, how much time is there between competitions? You said we have 12 in the day. Do you have estimation between? Like, how long do we have to replace parts or fix things?
Yeah, no guarantee how much in between time you have. You know, there's many competitions where we've gone and we've competed and been turned around and had to get right back in the queue line again, just because things fell. So you could have 15 minutes, you could have a half an hour, you have 0. It kind of is how the matches are drawn.
Yeah, on that, there's 47 events, or at that 40 teams, sure that you have that you can make that 12 matches per event. So there might be, you are guaranteed to at least have one match in between two of your matches. So you might be in match 1, you in 2, you could be in 3. Times where you might have 10 matches in your match, right? So you might be in match 1 and you won't play again until match 11 or 12. That's random, and you don't know that until the event. So the recommendation is you take a look at your match schedule and you highlight every single match you're in and try to have an idea, hey, here, a quick turnaround. We don't have a lot of time to fix things here. And then the other section would be like, wow, we have like 15 matches. We make a big upgrade or a big change at that time to make our world performing better. So it really depends on when you're coming to that event. And the next years, you don't have to worry about switching your bumpers. It's really worry about that. This year, you can go on and off. Usually, those people are pretty good about if you have back-to-back matches, if you will. They're good about getting you on the field and slowing things down to make sure that you can switch your battery and you can, refill your air and do everything you need to get you on that field.
Game's about 3 minutes, but including startup and setup and everything like that, do you have an estimation on time? Is it like 10 minutes per game?
How much they usually slot like what, 7 minutes? 7 intervals?
7 minute cycle times.
So to give a player 2.5 minute match and then
So it's hard to tell. 7 minutes is usually the goal, and really depends on the volunteer staff, right, as well. So if you go to, let's say, Escanaba, the example that was given out earlier, if you go to Escanaba where they only have 5 reset people, so reset 128 gray totes every match, they have longer cycle times between matches. It might be upwards of 10 minutes. If you then, let's say, Kettering, where they might be putting 20 volunteers to reset the field, they might be able to do a 6 or 7 minute cycle time.
that answers my question. Thank you.
Any other questions?
We're about 10 minutes over our time here
Okay.
today. So, if you have any other questions, please feel free to send us an email and we'll do our best to reply to your email or get your phone call. Have a great week. Well, this week, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let us know. 571 needs to sign off.
Did you get that?
Yeah, this is gonna take it. Yeah. Please, everybody, drive careful out there.
Thanks.